Over half a century ago, hundreds of thousands of American soldiers left behind their homes and families, embarking on a journey that would take them to a distant, unfamiliar land, Vietnam. Little did they know that what awaited them was not just the chaos of battle, but months and years of hardship unlike anything they had ever experienced. The dense jungles of Vietnam greeted them with an overwhelming presence. The relentless rain, the constant chorus of insects, and an environment so foreign and unforgiving that every day felt like a test of endurance. Daily life for these soldiers was shaped by the harsh realities of the jungle. The tropical heat hung heavy in the air, turning sweat into a constant companion. The humidity clung to their uniforms, their skin, and their spirits. Survival depended on a simple ration, sea rations, packed for convenience, but monotonous and unappetizing after weeks and months. Each meal was the same as the last: canned meat, processed cheese, crackers. Over time, the mere sight of these meals became a source of fatigue. Yet it was all they had to keep going, day after day, as the fight continued. During the day, the sun beat down mercilessly, drawing every ounce of energy from their bodies. At night, the jungle came alive with new threats. Mosquitoes buzzed relentlessly, and leeches lurked in the muddy ground, waiting to cling to exposed skin. Sleep was rare and fleeting, often interrupted by distant gunfire echoing through the trees, a constant reminder that danger was never far away. The soldiers lay awake, listening to the sounds of the jungle, their nerves stretched thin as they waited for the next patrol or the next attack. Patrolling the jungle was a gamble with fate. Every step into the darkness was a risk, every shadow a potential hiding place for the enemy. The soldiers moved carefully, knowing that the slightest mistake, a lit cigarette, a brief flash of light, could be fatal. The jungle was a place where visibility was limited, where the enemy could appear at any moment, and where fear was an ever-present companion. Some called it the War of Shadows, where even the smallest decision could mean the difference between life and death. The battles were fierce and unrelenting. Soldiers faced not only the threat of enemy fire, but also the psychological toll of constant uncertainty. Fear was a powerful force, sometimes driving men to acts of courage, sometimes leaving them paralyzed. In the chaos of ambushes and firefights, some found strength they never knew they had, pushing forward despite exhaustion and terror. But not all made it through. Many never left the jungle, their lives cut short in a land far from home. Yet, the most enduring wounds were not always visible. The toll of war extended far beyond the physical injuries sustained in combat. The soldiers carried with them a deep sense of longing for home, memories of loved ones left behind, and an overwhelming sense of isolation. Many wrote letters to their families, trying to bridge the gap between their present reality and the lives they once knew. They clung to photographs, small tokens of a world that seemed impossibly distant. The psychological impact of the war lingered long after the fighting ceased. Nightmares and anxiety haunted many veterans, disrupting their lives and relationships. The world would come to know this suffering as post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD, a condition that would affect not only American soldiers, but countless others who experienced the trauma of war. Decades after returning home, many veterans still struggled to find peace, burdened by memories they could not escape. In addition to psychological scars, the war left physical consequences that would last generations. The use of chemical agents, such as Agent Orange, brought suffering to both the Vietnamese people and the American veterans who served in the region. The effects of these toxins were felt for decades, causing illnesses and disabilities that were often misunderstood or ignored. The legacy of chemical warfare became a shared tragedy, linking the fate of two nations in ways that could never be undone. As the years passed, the jungles became quieter, the sounds of battle faded, and memorials were erected in honor of those who had served and sacrificed. Soldiers who once marched through the undergrowth now stood in silent contemplation before these monuments, reflecting on the experiences that had shaped their lives. For many, the war remained an unresolved chapter, a question with no easy answer. What had they gained? What had they lost? The sense of victory was elusive, overshadowed by the cost in lives and in innocence. Some found solace in the passage of time, trusting that history would one day provide meaning to their sacrifices. Others struggled with feelings of regret and guilt, questioning whether the pain they endured had been justified. The war in Vietnam was never a simple story of conquest or defeat. It was a complex saga of humanity, of young men and women thrust into extraordinary circumstances. Each person carried home a unique story, shaped by moments of fear, hope, and resilience. Ultimately, the legacy of the Vietnam War is one of shared loss, a tragedy not confined to a single nation or people. The suffering touched everyone who was involved, from the soldiers in the jungle to the families waiting at home and the civilians caught in the crossfire. The scars of war run deep, reminding us that conflict leaves marks not only on the land, but on the hearts and minds of all who participate. As history continues to unfold, the questions raised by the Vietnam War remain. What is the true cost of conflict? How do we honor the memory of those who sacrificed so much? And what lessons can we learn to ensure that future generations do not repeat the mistakes of the past? In the quiet of the jungle, beneath the canopy of ancient trees, these questions linger, waiting for answers that only time can provide. War is never just a matter of victory or defeat. It is a complex tapestry of courage, suffering, and endurance, a story that belongs to all who lived it and to those who remember. The jungles of Vietnam hold these memories, echoing with the voices of those who came and went, and reminding us that the cost of war is measured not only in history books, but in the lives forever changed.